Hello, welcome to my proposal for the cheetah exhibit design. So before we really dive into the exhibit design proposal, I wanted to mention some of the inspirations that took place to the designing. So primarily we wanted to implement the natural features of the ecosystem in which cheetahs are found. So you have some varied terrain. Mostly they're going to be living in plains, so you're not going to have a ton of crazy terrain like mountains or anything, but you want to have a little bit of texture in there so that animal isn't just on a plain pit. You also have some natural soil and vegetation, so we're going to have a lot of grassy areas. There's going to be some longer areas and trees and shrubs, and that's going to allow that cheetah to feel right at home. You're going to have some tall grasses as well, which you can see in that image there, and that's really just to have some of that naturalism there for the immersion of the habitat, for that theme there, but also for the cheetah as well. And you're also going to have some high rock formations and a small cave as well. The rock formations are really going to be there for that cheetah to get up high to the high ground and survey the area, because that is naturally something that they do in their natural environment. So we're going to have that there for them. We also want that cave as well. It's not going to be like a crazy cave or anything, but kind of just an open hole under one of those rock formations so that that cheetah can get into there and hide away, whether it wants to be away from the public viewing or if it's raining or any other situations. We're going to have that there as well. Now in this image you can see some more inspiration that we took from another zoo. So you have that varied terrain, you can see that there's a slight elevation going on, and then we have a rock wall in the back too, and that's going to be one of our barriers that we took some inspiration from, as it just looks more natural than, say, a fence or just a plain wall. So we want some of that there as well, and some of the points for success in having some of these here is that you're really going to take away that the animal is being viewed as if it's in its natural environment. So we really want that to be a key takeaway for success, not only for the animal or for us, but also for our visitors as well. So this next image is another piece of inspiration for us. So in this image you can see that there are some encounter and enrichment opportunities at this other zoo, and they allow a cheetah run or like a racetrack, for instance, so that cheetah is able to exhibit some of its natural speed and chase a lure. We wanted to include that in our exhibit design to kind of give that cheetah some of its natural life history attributes, but also make a good example for visitors who come by and are able to view this. They're able to make a connection with that animal and also learn about it, as the speed of a cheetah is well known, but they might not be able to have seen that up and personal, so we want to try to exhibit that in a way that we can. This will also be successful for the animal as they are able to engage in natural behaviors such as chasing, as that cheetah is doing it with that lure, and then also exhibiting speed as well. Now another key component of this exhibit design is that we decided to include a moat. Now the moat's not going to be anything crazy, it's just there primarily as a water source for the animal, but also as a barrier as well. So that way we can get that animal two things for the same price of one. So essentially, so as you can see with this image of this tiger here, it's part of that natural environment, so they can walk down into it, take a sip of water, and then it also acts as a barrier from visitors to the animal, so the animal isn't going to be able to get out and escape, but also so that the visitors are able to see clearly into the habitat, similar to how there might be a river in a natural ecosystem. You might be viewing it from that viewpoint. So it is there for two reasons, one being water source, one being a barrier. And on to our Tinkercad 3D design. So this is really going to be kind of a general view of what this habitat might look like. So in this example here, we can see that there is kind of a rock wall barrier in the far back, and on the two sides you just have normal fencing. We did decide to go with the crosshatch fencing, as that's harder for cheetahs to climb as compared to a normal fence, like a wooden fence. That's a little bit easier for them to climb, so the crosshatch would be a little bit safer for the animal and people. And then on the other barrier side you have that moat that we just talked about. Within the habitat itself you have a lot of dispersed trees and shrubbery. Those are there to implement the natural features of the environment in which cheetahs would be found. And then all of those trees that are a little bit closer to barrier walls, those would have tree collars on them or a tree guard in order to prevent the cheetah from climbing that tree and getting out. So the cheetah might be able to climb to a certain extent, but then after they hit that collar or guard, they wouldn't be able to get up any higher. They can't climb that. So that's there for safety reasons, but also there to kind of keep them immersed as well. In the center of this habitat, you have that rock formation or cave that I mentioned a little bit earlier. So there's a little bit of an idea of what a cheetah would be next to it. So they're able to get on top of it and survey their land, but also if they feel the need to, they can go under it and hide as well. There's a couple other rock formations within the habitat as well, just to kind of give some variety so that they aren't always forced to go onto the same platform. And then you have more trees around there, as well as some downed logs, and those downed logs are going to be there for that cheetah to scratch away at with their nails and really file them down naturally, but also stretch out those muscles in their paws. And then around the entire habitat, we want to try to include this sort of racetrack, for instance, or cheetah run. In that way, not only will it aid in the theme of having a cheetah on exhibit, as people do associate them with their ability to run and ability to achieve high speeds, but that'll also be there for them if we are able to incorporate a cheetah encounter or a cheetah enrichment opportunity. We'll be able to have a lure in there and have that cheetah run around and chase that and exhibit their speeds as they so desire. So that would be there for them for enrichment opportunities, keeper opportunities, visitor opportunities, you name it. It doesn't necessarily have to be in this oval shape. It could also just be a straight line as well. Just kind of an opportunity to include that wherever we can. And throughout the habitat, it's a little bit hard to see on a design like this, but we do want to have that varied terrain, so that track there would just follow the natural terrain. So if the habitat goes kind of up and then down a little bit, it would just follow that same line as well. So some of the keeper design choices for this exhibit are those tree guards that we mentioned a little bit before. Those are going to be there only on the trees that are closely located to barriers, just to prevent the animal from escaping. Any trees that are well within the habitat or the exhibit that would not allow the animal to escape, those can be left plain as long as the animal isn't able to jump from that tree out. So that would be needed. That would be something that would need to be measured just to ensure. The moat is also there for the keepers as well, so that is going to be an easy water source for the animal to drink from. And in the event that the animal defecates in the water, we want that to be easy to clean as well. So the moat should be filtered. We're hoping to install a filtration system so that the water is constantly moving, constantly cleaning itself, and then if need be, it can be drained and then cleaned as well by keepers. So it shouldn't be too hard to maintain. And then the racetrack is also there for keepers as well as the animal. The racetrack could also act as a talking point for keepers during keeper chats, or even the opportunity for species encounters, so long as you're following the AZA guidelines, of course. And then the racetrack can also double as an enrichment opportunity for keepers to the animals. So some of our visitor takeaways from this exhibit, we want them to have left that exhibit with an understanding of conservation efforts, specifically with the cheetah and its natural environment. We want people to look in on this scene, see the cheetah in this environment, and understand, okay, so this is exactly where this cheetah should be, and this is the kind of environment that we need to work to maintain in order to preserve this species from going extinct. We also have several viewing areas that we're hoping to include, and the hope with that is that visitors will spend at least a couple of minutes observing the animal in its exhibit, or even just observing the exhibit features, or even the cheetah just in action of any sort. We want them to be able to get several different perspectives in on this animal and living in its natural habitat. We also want them to leave the exhibit with a sense of connection between the animal and the visitor, so whether or not they saw that animal doing something really interesting or just sleeping, we want that sense of connection to be there to really strengthen that visitors' understanding of why conservation is so important and understanding the story of that cheetah. And then these are my references for this proposal. Thank you.